So I do want to acknowledge that we did have signing day this week. I know we prefaced it, of course, with our feelings towards it, but, it was a big moment. A lot of schools took advantage. A lot of schools got creative in how they flipped their guys. So obviously there's the national story that's out there. So we're going to take it a little bit in that direction just for a minute, because we are SEC centric, but it happened to fall in our footprint. I'm taking creative liberties, Clint. It happened between Florida and Texas, between those two landmark states on either end. Guess what? That's where the SEC resides. That's our bread and butter. So damn it, if it happens in Mississippi, damn it happens to us. So
Big Mac.
We have a journalistic responsibility to talk about it, Clint.
Hey, you're bigger than me, and you got all that hardware on that shelf behind you. You can do whatever the hell you want to, and I'm just here, brother. I'm gonna ride with you.
There it is. All right, well, let's take this ride down a rabbit hole. Jackson State, Deion Sanders.
How about it? Come on.
You flipped the number one recruit in the country. And to make it even more appetizing, you did it to your old school that you came from. You took the number one recruit from Florida State and flipped him to Jackson, Mississippi on signing day. I mean, if that's not the most cold-blooded Jack move and greatest move of all time, I don't know what it is. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, the kid's named Travis Hunter, right?
Yeah, right. Cornerback out of Georgia. Travis Hunter, depending on what publication you look at, he's either the number one or the number two prospect in the country. The dude is the absolute real deal. And this is super juicy, man. I mean, because I'm watching on social media, I'm watching Florida State fans burn Deion Sanders framed jerseys because he flipped this kid from his alma mater at Florida State. Hey, him flipping this kid, that Deion Sanders flipping Travis Hunter from Florida State to Jackson State, knocked Florida State out of for what it's worth, the 247 Sports top 10 recruiting class rankings. It knocked them completely out of the top 10. I mean, so this is juicy, man. I mean, it's one of the things, like, it's got to hurt Prime too, because Prime's a Seminole through and through. I mean, it's got to hurt him, man. But it's juicy. Here's the deal. We had a conversation about this a little earlier. Max, is I'm a little bit torn because the kid's gonna go to Jackson State. And he's gonna make $1 million plus. Yeah. And while I know there's athletes in college football right now that are making a lot of money before they ever touch the field, I don't think there's been a cornerback yet go make $1 million plus before he ever touches the field.
Nope.
So he's going to make money that I don't know that he ever would have made had he been one of 10 4- 5-star DBs at Alabama or at Georgia. So on the front end, I can see where my man's going to make that extra bread. On the back end of it, I don't know. Like, you're talking about spending 3 years at Jackson State versus a high-end Power 5. And, Max, I played for a Power 5 that's got phenomenal facilities. I know you did as well. You guys are now, renovating everything, and you've been around the country and seen unbelievable facilities. I hate to break it to you. And I'm not, no disrespect, but when you put a kid at Jackson State for 3 years, the support he's going to be given physically, mentally, emotionally, from an education standpoint, the 3 years at Jackson State and the 3 years at say, Alabama or Georgia, it's totally different. The development that is at the kid's fingertip, or the development that takes place over those 3 years at an Alabama, is totally different than what is going to take place at Jackson State. You just from a nutrition standpoint, from a strength training standpoint, from obviously a competition standpoint. I don't know what that specifics are, but damn it, I know it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think it's a different mindset. It's a different coaching philosophy, a different facilities
Yeah.
you require. But I think this is kind of one of those titanic shifts that you need to happen in order to help those smaller schools. I think this was that shockwave that put people on notice about it. Now, listen, there's still that one thing that's called a transfer portal that's always at your fingertips. It's just waiting. It's just press send. Just hit that button. Just touch the button.
That's a gator in you talking.
Yeah, and then you get whisked away. You go into the ether, and you wind up at a Power 5. If he so decides, but it's great to see that, right? Yeah, I know. Listen, and trust me, I was a Deion Sanders fan growing up, being from the state of Florida, and I was a Florida State fan growing up. I remember watching Primetime. I remember the draft, and I remember all those great Florida State teams. But unfortunately, just when it came down to brass tacks, I just couldn't pull the trigger on going to Tallahassee. Right. I had to take my talents to Gville, and become a Gator, and I'm orange and blue through. But it's something that I think speaks well, because you have to remember the state that Deion Sanders got Jackson State to where it is now as a formidable force. Television contracts, we can see their games on Saturdays on ESPN. They won their conference championship. They have things that they're setting in place. So you wonder if, and listen, we all know that Mississippi is not exactly the highest of living expenses or cost. So I wonder if that was just the surface for Deion reaching out to his network to bring things to that program to then modernize said training facility, said staff, nutritionists, and the different things he has available, the former players that he has coming in and doing speeches and giving these kids a semblance of that experience, because A, he's been in it. B, the guy's a Hall of Famer. And when you have that connection to some of those higher ups that happen to have very, very deep pockets, you wonder if that was also something that flipped Travis Hunter, the premise of what is to come while he's there. So that's the one thing I am intrigued to see how that plays out as well.
Yeah, Max, look, I don't think there's anything about it, any doubt about it. I think you look at his personal bio and he talks about always idolizing, Deion Sanders. So there's a personal touch there. He talks about not only seeing the history of HBCUs, but also the future, right? So I think there's something there. Here's a conversation that I had earlier today, and it was, in my opinion, if Deion Sanders, because he's already changed it in a major way, tip the cap, whatever happens from here on out is nothing but respect, right? But I think this is what you were alluding to. If this can somehow lead to big time change at Jackson State first, and then it grows throughout HBCUs, then you got something that's big time. And I'm not talking about 5-star top recruits. I'm talking about if Deion Sanders can get with the right money people, and all of a sudden Jackson State has the facilities to match some Power 5s out there, right? All of a sudden, the experience for 3, 4, 5 years for a college athlete at Jackson State is the same as it is. And I don't mean the same. I just mean it's equal. They can go there. Well, I mean from I'm literally talking about the ability to go work out and eat right and have nutritionists and all these things to the 10th degree. Like if this somehow, I said it earlier, this is what I said earlier, if Deion Sanders can stay at Jackson State, do things like this whenever it comes up, but if he can just break ground, do the groundwork and get folks to break ground on improving facilities and improving the developmental aspect for the student athlete on and off the field, now you've got something that changes thousands of lives for the next 10 or 20 years and could possibly change HBCUs across the country. Now you've done something major. I hope you're right. I hope it's the tip of the iceberg in that from that perspective, and it's a game changer, man.